and welcome to another live with Marina Franklin and
Evelyn Frick.
for friends like us. It's the Friends Like Us podcast. Yes. And we're here today for you. Okay. And Evelyn, I didn't talk too much to you because I'm setting up everything. So how is your day going so far?
It's going well. I actually also went to the farmer's market today.
What?
Yeah, I know. It was great. Also got flowers. They're in like a corner of my apartment. Very pretty. I think they're marigolds. I might be wrong. But yeah, got flowers, got some apple cider donuts. So very
Ooh.
much in the like autumn spirit. But yeah, so did that and walked around because to get to the farmer's market from my apartment, you just walk through Prospect Park. So really lovely walk this morning. Yeah, and then just been hanging out at home. So very relaxing Saturday thus far.
Nice. I got some sweets too.
Ooh.
So I got like cookies and I shouldn't have. The cookie was delicious too. And I
You
got
just
like,
have to.
it's called monkey bread.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that.
I was like, you guys need to change the name.
Same. I know.
But I got it because there was a long line. Okay, I'll say when, comes on that he went with me to the farmer's market, but I got that because he was like, "Why is there a long line?" He was making me do things I don't normally do at the farmer's market.
Mhm.
So I was like, "Okay, we'll get in the line." And we got that and it was delicious. And it's not my cheat day, so I feel kind of bad, but
No, it's also not my cheat day. But like, I don't know. I feel like there is more sweets at the farmer's market in the fall, and it's okay to have them occasionally.
look at this.
Hello, Andrea.
Hello, Andrea. Hello, May. How are you? Well, we do this every Saturday, and it's going to be so much fun. We just sit here and chat. We talk about what we're doing we've been doing this for a
A
while now.
while? Yeah.
Has it been a year?
Oh my gosh, has it? It might be. I think it
Oh,
has.
yeah, and
That's
we just do this
crazy.
every Saturday to talk about the podcast. So, Andrea, do you listen to the podcast? You listen to Friends Like Us, and if this is your first time, this is why I do it. I do it to promote my podcast, Friends Like Us, which features women of color. And once a month, we do have a white or a man, kind of like our period. And one of the men, the white man, he'll be here soon. He'll be on here annoying everybody. So just get ready for that. And Evelyn is my lovely assistant who's been amazing. And she helped me with Friends Like Us as well. So there. How did your
Yeah.
show go, Ev? Or should we wait? Maybe we should wait until Juskow gets here. But
Yeah,
then
we
I
can.
wonder if well, let's give it like 10 minutes because
Sure.
most of the people will show up and I want them to hear how your show went at the
Yeah.
Broadway Comedy Club. It was a sketch show, right? Correct?
No, it was stand up. I
Stand.
haven't done sketch in a really long time, actually. I
Oh,
do
okay.
want to get back into that. But yeah, it was stand up through is the New York Queer Comedy Festival.
Nice.
Yeah,
So
so it's
we
fun.
will check that out. We'll get back to you, Evelyn, on how
Mhm.
that was. Look at
Yeah.
me trying to be professional.
Back to
I'm
you.
I'm sort of tired because I carbs, like once I have carbs, it's like
Yeah,
it puts me
truly.
out. It's like,
Yeah.
I used to say this on stage. It's kind of like a date rape drug for me. All you have to do is give me like a piece of bread
Yeah.
and I'm out. I mean, it
Yeah.
knocks me carbs just it lets you know how carbs run through your system. It's like, oh,
Mhm.
it's very taxing.
Oh yeah, especially when you haven't like had it and had a lot of carbs in a while.
Oh, look, look. Andrea has been listening to the podcast for years. She loves it and she highly recommends it. Well,
That's so
shout out to
cool.
you because that's also what we do here is we shout out reviews of the podcast, right, Evelyn?
We do, yeah. I've grabbed some from this week. So, yeah, Andrea, if you haven't left a review on Apple Podcasts, I would highly recommend that you do that because it helps new viewers find the podcast.
Yes. So do that. And tell me more. So the farmers market, which one do you go to? It's in Brooklyn?
Yeah, there are a few in Brooklyn. I go to the one that's in Grand Army Plaza. So it's like I think it's like I forget what its name. It's like the Green Market or something. But yeah, it's really nice. They have fresh fruits and veggies. They have like I think like ciders and fresh bread, and they've also recently started doing like stalls of like handmade clothes and things like that. So yeah, it's really nice. It's
Mhm.
always pretty busy on Saturdays. Always people usually always like have their dogs with them too, which is another added fun thing.
Well,
So
bring
yeah,
that up when Juskow joins us. I want you to say
okay,
that.
I
He had
will.
a little problem with it.
Really? Oh my god, I love how he was like wanting to go to the farmers market for weeks and weeks, and then in Juskow fashion, very much from what I'm hearing, made it all about him.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
He was like complaining. D enjoyed, and guess who found her? Evelyn, remember?
I do. Oh yeah. It's so
Rafia?
wild. Yeah. It's like I such a great guest, but it's like every few weeks there's just we're always booking.
I
So
know.
I forget how many guests we've
She
had.
was a great guest. So thank you, D. Yeah, Rafia was so Evelyn like kind of screened her before, like we had her on, and I was like, yes. I was like, she's amazing. Her story,
Hmm.
timely and amazing. Um, the fact that she had to basically survive, abusive relationship and move to, I mean, now in Indiana is where she's living.
Yeah.
And the story about how she, just tried to make it on her own in America after being in, I want to say,
Is it Pakistan?
Pakistan. Yes,
Yeah.
Pakistan.
Yeah.
But we talked about her book against white feminism, which is basically her explaining, just giving voice to women of color who've oftentimes felt like they weren't heard in the gaze of white feminism. And I think that's important. I mean, I was telling someone the other day that you can't get upset about someone's feelings. I mean, you
Hmm.
can, but you just can't shut them up.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people like to shut up people who have feelings about things, just like if
Hmm.
your feeling is opposite of mine, it's like, okay, but it's not like, people get so defensive. Oh, you don't feel the way I feel. You don't
Hmm.
believe what I believe. Oh my God. It gets crazy.
It's
Um,
crazy, yeah, especially with, like, white feminism, a lot of the time, like, white feminists, if they get any sort of critique, particularly from, like, women of color, it's like, "Oh, but we've done so much for you," and it's like, that's the wrong attitude to have, like, if someone's telling you that this brand of feminism isn't working, then
yeah.
clearly there need to be changes made. It's not about, like, the, individual people per se, it's more about making sure everyone feels included.
And Dee went in, bought more books. Her book, The
Mhm.
Upstairs Wife, An Intimate History of Pakistan, is great. Her other book, Veil, as well. Oh, okay. All right.
That's
I
awesome.
gotta read. I have like so many books, I mean, that I have to read that I want to sink my, and I just haven't been able to focus.
No,
And I
I
don't know. It's
feel
weird.
I feel exactly the same way. Yeah, like, ever since the pandemic, like, with the start of, like I was like, "Oh, yeah, like, I'll have so much time to read," and I don't. One of my coworkers actually at the, publication that I write for, she does a lot of, like, book reviews and stuff, and so she reads, like, more than 100 books a year, and it's just so crazy to hear that. Because like, I think I read maybe 1 book within the last few months.
Yeah, it is a focus thing. I mean,
Yeah.
this morning I just kind of I walked in circles, and I was like, "What was I supposed to do?"
Yeah.
One day I was actually reaching into my purse,
Mhm.
and I was like, "What was I going into my purse for?" And I
Yeah.
was talking to someone, and I was reaching in the purse for them. And I go, "What was it I was reaching in?" I mean, it was like literally that second. I hope this isn't early stage dementia. I gotta really watch it. By the way, the book, and I tell it as a joke. The book that I'm reading right now is about memory loss, and I was like, I can't get to
Yeah.
it because it's like it's by Sanjay Gupta. He wrote the
Mhm.
book, and he's like, I'm going to talk about marijuana, but I think he knew that most people were like, get to it. So it's
Yeah.
like later on in the book. because, and I'm like, I need to get to that chapter, but I feel like I'm cheating if I don't read.
Yeah, no, I
So
get that.
I feel like he's put the marijuana stuff at the end
So
of the
people
book
read the full book.
to make sure I read it. But I'm like, I guarantee you marijuana is affecting my memory. I know long term, short term, absolutely.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, everybody. Tell us where you're from and where you're at, or just tell us where you're at and where you're texting us from. We do this, or typing. We do this every Saturday at 3 p.m. to preview, review the Friends Like Us podcast. And as our friend was talking about D, we have really great episodes, like Rafia Zakaria was on talking about, being in Pakistan, being in America, dealing with white feminism. She has a book called Against White Feminism. And then actually this current episode is about breast cancer awareness, which is really great, with Kanisha. And I'm saying her name right, I pray to God.
Yeah.
And her story is with the Pfizer Get It Done campaign, because women who are, we're in a pandemic, and a lot of women are putting off their mammograms and their ultrasounds. Don't do that. Make sure you go and get checked, because early detection really is your best protection. I cannot tell you the number of stories I've heard of women who just put it off, and after a year, stage 4. So that's why after a year, stage 4. That's why we say, if you feel anything, go. And I know it's a pain in the ass, and there is a shortage at the hospital, so just be patient with that, but make sure you get in. It's so super important. Okay, the man of the hour has joined us, but before we let that fool in, I see you. Let's see. The last book I read was Nancy Drew. Okay, so let's see who's here. Marcus Fuller, hello. D, she writes an excellent. G is talking about Rafia Zakari. She writes an excellent column in the Baffler. Oh, thank you. She was the first to debunk Rukmini Kalimaki. I know I'm messing up that. Kalimaki of the New York Times. Really interesting. I know I just butchered that, and I don't know what that is, but
I've
maybe
heard of
Juskow
it, but I
knows.
don't. I can't remember exactly
I can
what it's
Google
about.
it, but tell us, Dee, what that is, because I didn't know what that was. I know I seem smart with my glasses. And then good afternoon to you, Scooby Doofus. Bat scientist, the last book. Oh yes, Nancy Drew in 1987. Oh no. Audiobooks, Trixie. I cannot do audiobooks. I feel like I'm cheating, but I know everyone does it. Marcus Fuller, Chicago. Okay, what up, Chicago, Chi-Town? Scooby Doo. I talked to my doctor about memory loss, and he said, yeah, we talked about that last time. That's funny. Bat scientist. Okay, you're from Phoenix, Arizona, home of Bamboo and Cyber Ninjas. What up, Bat scientist? I'm so glad you're joining us again. Daddy Vader. Oh, he's on my Twitch page. So you're on my Twitch page, and you must be new, and you don't know what we're doing, because we rarely get people on my Twitch page. But this is Marina Franklin. I usually play Fortnite on my Twitch page with Yamanika and Mateo, but this page is only used for chatting about my podcast, Friends Like Us. So hopefully you find that interesting and you stick around, Daddy Vader. Tell us where you're from, and I guess we can add him now. Here we go.
Hello.
Hello.
Sorry. There.
Hi, everybody.
There it is. This is how I like it. This is how we do.
My hair's a mess like Evelyn's in the back today. Yes, I went there.
I just got out of the shower because
So
I went to
say that every week.
Don't you dare say her hair is a mess.
I haven't taken a shower in 3 weeks.
I believe you. This morning I smelled it. I was like,
Shut up. No, you didn't. You're the one that smells using that phony deodorant. Look what I've been reading. This magazine where they have a scathing article on HR Puffin stuff. Only made for people of our generation, Marina. Not
Riding the
Evelyn has no
zeitgeist
idea.
there.
That and an article on Logan's Run. Now, who is this magazine made for? Did I make it? Did I invent it? I think I might have. I don't remember writing it, but I don't know who the hell else would be interested in this magazine.
Hi, Kobina Breeze. Ghana
That's the
is
last
in
thing
the
I read.
house. Well, welcome. And I'm so glad you read something, Juskow. It's
Thank
important
you. Have
for
you
your
told
brain.
everybody about our endeavor this morning?
Well, first let me introduce you because we have some new people here. For those of you who don't know, I like to repeat this, but I do this for the Friends Like Us podcast. It's a podcast that features women
Friends
of color.
Like Us is what?
I just said it.
Mm-hmm.
It features women of color, but once in a blue moon, we have a white.
Women of color.
And
right.
Juskow obviously
black
is
people?
Yes.
Okay.
And brown. And
Right.
Rafia Zakari, who we're talking about, who Dee said loved the episode, is from Pakistan. So it's women of color.
They do not use the word colored people anymore. Is that correct? Because that's what we were using in Jersey. That is not a thing anymore.
Only for hunkies.
Marina, what's a hunky?
I remember my dad had to explain that to me because he showed me the Richard Pryor episode of SNL when I was like really young.
Well, that's with Chevy Chase.
Yeah, and I was like, I don't know what that is.
Dead honky.
Yeah.
What is the real definition of hunky? Is it like a guy who honks his horn and is white?
We're looking at you, Marina. None of us would know.
I don't really know. I mean,
let's look it up.
Some of you out there, tell us. Let's give it to our watchers, our viewers. If you can tell us what is the real definition of a honky. I don't think people use it anymore. It's just slang.
Huh.
I remember we used it when I was a kid, when I was like in junior high. They're like, that honky.
It is a derogatory term directed toward white people. We know that. The first recorded use of honky dates back to 1946. Honky tonk. It doesn't really say.
I always think
it's something about like country music, I guess, and that's why
kind of like country,
which makes a lot of sense, like honky tonk music.
Yeah.
So I guess since country music is considered pretty goddamn racist, and it always sounds like anybody who sings it sounds like they're about to use the N-word at any given moment. Then I'm assuming that is where it derives from. But then the question is, what's honky tonk music and why do they call it that? So that's the question too.
Well, Ted Chambers liked my answer.
What was your answer?
A guy who honks his horn.
Well, that's too
on the
I'm
nose.
looking it up now, and it's a honky tonk is a style of piano play. Well, we know that, but where did it come from?
Hey, Ashley. Hey, what up, Ashley?
The tonk portion comes from a name of a brand of a piano, so it didn't start out racist. Let's say that.
Oh, okay. And just to go back to what Dee was saying, essay at the Baffler debunking the New York Times series Caliphate was called Stalking the Story. Oh, interesting.
Oh, another devastating article.
You read that article?
No, I just like to say that about everything. That's why I said the scathing article on HR Puffin stuff. In the Woody Allen movie that everybody hates now called Manhattan, he goes, did anybody hear that there's some Nazis marching in New Jersey? I think we should go down there with bricks and baseball bats and teach them a lesson. And then this guy goes, there was a devastating satirical piece on that in the New York Times op-ed page this week. And he goes, right. A satirical thing on Nazis is pretty good, but bricks and baseball bats, when it's dealt with Nazis, it's much more better. Satirical is fine, but it's a really good scene. Because anything with shiny boots.
This reminds me of that moment at the farmer's market where the woman just tapped out of listening to you.
When I was talking about McDonald's and the McRib coming back.
So for all of you that are joining us today, Juskow actually met me for the first time ever this morning at the farmer's market
in Harlem,
and he made it to Harlem. He made it past 86th Street or whatever.
I get nervous going.
I don't know why he gets nervous, but he gets nervous. And then he was like, "Where are there black people?"
Yeah, what the hell?
Harlem is really gentrified.
95% white. That was, I'm sorry, but surprising. Very surprising.
Was it upsetting too?
No. Well, in a way, You want to go to Harlem, you want the true experience from the 1970s.
That's right. You want a cultural experience. That's what's
Yeah, and
that's
that
what
is
the problem
not
is.
what it was. I could have stayed down in my neighborhood then.
But there was one Negro.
What did you call him? You called him the quizzitive Negro?
I said, what a peculiar Negro
the
this one.
peculiar Negro, which should be the title of your children's book.
Because he was like, I was like, look, Juskow, here's a black guy. And he was like, well, what do we have here today?
He was so cute.
He's like, and he was so happy to see everything. He was walking up to every like tent and just ready with a smile. He's like,
ooh, what kind of dog are you? He was like Will Ferrell in Elf.
Oh,
hi, what's your favorite color?
It was a lot. Because he was
so cute. Like he was just so happy and into everything. It was nice.
It annoyed me. Because he was like, what do we have here today? Is that a Scottish egg? I'll get a Scottish. Oh, look at your cute dog. And I was like,
But that's the funny thing, Marina, is actually he was doing exactly what you were doing, just in a different way, because you were going up to everybody like, this is my friend. Remember that time when we had trouble online? Like you were technically doing the same thing, but you knew the people.
I knew them and I wasn't, I know, but I wasn't going out with a smile. I was going up with them and asking them, Juskow will tell you how many people had stories for you.
Yeah, no, it's every vendor had a story. Like I thought she was crazy, and then it turned out they're like, oh, you're talking about that time that lady almost accosted you, and like they all seemed to know what she was talking about. I thought she was crazy because they first started looking at her like she was crazy, and then I was completely wrong on that look. Yeah, they love you clearly. Why
it was so funny. The first guy, by the way, Evelyn.
Thank you,
Ted. I had no idea.
They didn't seem to catch that one.
I had no idea that he even remembered me from the argument I had. And I just
You're talking about the first guy, the Asian guy?
Yeah. And I said, do you remember how we got into? He goes, oh, yeah. Like without skipping a beat. He goes, oh, yeah. You could tell it, Jusky.
Well, I just really thought that he had no idea who you were or what you were talking about. And then it totally, because the way he was looking and maybe he was just busy. And then all of a sudden he remembered everything vividly, and it was really funny, just like you said, because I went there, remember, to find out what's really going on here. Where's this mushroom lady? And what is happening at the farmers market in Harlem that Marina comes back every week. And let me tell you something else that happened today. So I did see it for myself, and apparently I didn't get to see any fun nonsense today. And you didn't get knocked over or threatened today. And apparently there was another threat, which I don't know whether you guys know about, from some lady who said, I'm going to hurt you if you say that again, right? What was that? Wasn't that it? Or
Evelyn knows the woman who said,
yeah, it's like, say it again.
Say one more word and it's a beating. That's what she said.
Right. Yeah. So I don't know what it is you do at this farmer's market to incite all this anger with people that are just trying to get a muffin and a cup of coffee. But it's fascinating.
But you hear, so the woman that said, the vendor who saw the woman who said, say it again, and it's a beating. Mm-hmm. He was able to exactly explain. This was literally like,
he knew it wasn't you, it was them. Yeah.
This was 2020, like before the pandemic. And he remembers the whole story and he still had the same amount of anxiety. You could see, he was like, it was just, he goes, you just don't know what to do.
But they all like you too, because you all, it's not like you're window shopping like me. You purchase things at all of these places, so why wouldn't they like you very much? Every week you go in and buy their products that they work really hard to bring you. So you're a good customer, and when they like it's kind of fun. It was fun to be there. I don't understand people that go to those things, but I kind of get it, I guess. I don't know.
And then he met the lady who does soap. So we were almost done. Yeah, and then he met the lady who does, essential soaps. And it's really important, because this is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, that that the deodorant is really bad for you.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that. Because of the tin they put in it.
He had no idea, Evelyn.
Why would I know? Aluminum, apparently. Aluminum.
Yeah.
It's only been talked about, really seriously for the past 10 years.
See, what I remember is the one thing that they took away.
Yes, Carl,
since
it's
I was-
live right now.
Since I was a
Sorry.
kid, was and Carl Carlson from The Simpsons, nice, was the spray. Remember when they said don't use the
Oh, yeah,
aerosol?
spray, yeah.
Remember
Oh
that
my
when arid?
God.
That's why you used to spray on deodorant, Evelyn.
I
in
think
the
they
70s.
still
70s.
spray on deodorant.
People still have it, but they're from like the 70s and they don't know any better. And then you went for the roll-ons or whatever. I use a stick now, I think, but I guess it's still bad, huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, what I saw today, I'd never seen in my life. It's like a stone, and I guess Marina's putting it under her arms. It's really not cool. It's like, where is that stone stored? It keeps you fresh smelling, but it's not an antiperspirant. So that could be you have hot flashes. I don't
don't
know if
need
that's
it.
for you. I've
I don't.
never seen you sweat like that under, or you never smell or anything, but I'm just saying
I'm no
that was
Dan
very
Natterman.
that was
Dan
an
Natterman.
interesting. I've never seen anything like that. I always think something like that is carrying healthy too far.
I remember there was a moment when Dan Natterman his body was changing and he was carrying napkins underneath his armpits.
What do you
I was
mean
like,
his body
Dan,
was
you're
changing?
out.
What are you talking about? He was like 13. You knew him when he was
No,
what?
but he was. You go as you get older. Your sweat changes and stuff happens, and he was sweating more than he was like he didn't know how to
does?
deal with it, and he came to the comic strip to meet me, and he had like the hand towels from the bathroom underneath his armpits. I
Oh.
was like, Dan, you don't do that
Yeah,
while
you
you're
just got to
out.
find a new deodorant. That's all.
I
had to
haven't
do
seen
that
him do
too.
it in a while. It's been a while since he's done that.
Because he wasn't body wasn't changing. You just gotta, I think once you do a deodorant and it runs its course, you've got to find a new one. That makes sense.
Stace Williams, thank you for covering Juskow's face in this moment. I learned so much from the
more you
Friends
write, the more you can
podcast
cover.
this week about breast cancer. A great service. Thank you, Stacy. Thank you, Stace. Thank you.
I don't like that breast cancer month is a whole month.
Why?
Because well,
What do you think?
I mean, if I could be honest, it's like, I love breast cancer awareness, and it's obviously really important. But they do it in the NFL, and so they just have all this pink stuff all month long.
Because
And
men can get it too,
Yeah.
they
and
can.
their wives, and they're
Yes.
affected. Yes.
I know it's just too long. Everybody's wearing pink in football,
Well,
and it just doesn't
there's
add
a
up. 2
reason
weeks would be
why
fine.
is because it's a real epidemic. There's a lot of women. I really didn't pay attention until I had it, which is what most people
Of
do.
course.
And I really did not realize, like, I have 14, and there's some people that I've had on my podcast that I said go get a mammogram, and then they had breast cancer.
Oh.
And then I've had people in my audience who've actually written me and said, I went a week after your show. Guess what? I have breast cancer.
Why do you suppose people don't know not to go at this point when you know to go for a colonoscopy? Like we all know it's very important to get a colonoscopy even before you're 50. Why do you suppose people wouldn't think to get a breast cancer checkup?
Because it's like what I just said. If it doesn't happen to you, you don't think about it. It's not on your mind. And even before it happened to me, I really wasn't thinking I don't have a history of cancer in my family.
Yeah, I know, but it seems like when you're at I don't know how they check for it, but don't you think during a random checkup every 5 to 10 years, you would say to your doctor, can you see if I'm okay?
Well, they do.
I'm asking.
Yeah, I mean, I think what happens is some women just are. It's kind of like with the vaccine. Some people don't trust hospitals. They don't like going.
Well, that's different. Yeah.
What's happening right now, which is very unique, is hospitals are losing staff, workers. Right. So making an appointment is very difficult. Getting an appointment is very difficult. And then over time, unless something really happens to you, do you go in and check? And some women just don't. Yeah, it's just.
It's funny. I've had health insurance, very good health insurance for 20 or 30 years because I was working. And now I haven't had it, for 2 years after I got fired. And it was one of those things I just never thought about. So I got everything checked out and everything I needed to ever check. Again, for me, colonoscopy, something like that or whatever. I'm like, here's the issue.
You need a breast exam.
Well, I don't know. I would take whatever they give me or they, and it's doing all these checkups. And I was in,
I
ironic,
should have
perfect
felt you
health.
up this morning.
But what I'm saying is that, after not having insurance, I don't have a regular doctor anymore. I can't go to regular checkups. It's scary.
It is scary, and that's another reason.
Stems from and since COVID, you can't get a doctor appointment anymore until February, March. It's a little terrifying.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think also with like, especially with like breast cancer, like sometimes like doctors just like don't believe women. Like they'll, you know, like get like a breast exam. Like I feel something here, like this feels weird. And often like sometimes doctors will just be like, oh no, you're fine.
Well, what kind of doctor would do that and not at least check?
Lots.
That's
How
what
do you,
mine. That's what mine
how do you
did.
check for breast cancer? What is the procedure? We
The
know what
procedure
again, a
is
colonoscopy.
you have really bad sex like I had, and then you just lay around and you go, "Oh, that feels like something." But the reality is, a lot of partners will find it in women.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So, do you
But like
need to
when you
check
feel
before
like
you
a
find
lump,
something? Before you feel it, do you need to check before you feel it?
Yeah, you're supposed to at like Carl was saying at 40, you're supposed to they're supposed to make you go in. Like your gynecologist is supposed to tell you to start getting your mammograms and screenings. Yes. And so you have to go. But
So
so that's
what is a
before you start.
mammogram? They like
That's where
X-ray
they
your
they
boobies?
squeeze your breast into like a machine that's like this,
Oh, that
and it
doesn't sound
squeezes
pleasant.
the breast. I actually kind of enjoyed it.
Ah,
But it squeezes in, and
ooh,
then some women are small, so they have to use like a little thing to but
yeah.
and then they take an x-ray. You know, it's like they make you hold on, and it can be kind of awkward. You got to hold on to this handle, and you got to turn to the side, and they take like all this, you know, these pictures of your breasts of both, you
And
know.
what's worse for if you do have a small breast and they have to get the other machine for you, you feel like a bag of shit. That's what happened. I think I had something wrong with my penis for a while. Like, and this guy had the biggest magnifier, Mr. Magoo. I'm like, this isn't making me feel great. Uh, like that serious, like a jewelry. You know? He's like, no, we use this for everything. I'm like, all right.
But yeah, it's also the thing that's really important is if you have dense breast tissue, which means that it's just like as you get older, the tissue is not as tough. So that means you have to get an ultrasound of, of the breast, like a sonic, where they use that gel, and that gets a better look at things. The mammogram tells the doctor something as well. They tell you two different things. But you are your best advocate, and that's why they keep saying that, because sometimes, like what Evelyn was saying, is the doctors, oh, you're fine, when you're not. And that's what happened to me. I was told after I noticed
Really?
it. Yeah, I was told the year that I noticed it was a year before I was diagnosed.
I don't
So
understand. What if you noticed it? Why would your doctor say you're fine? Did he check?
because he said he saw something, but he didn't see anything that was upset, like he didn't think. And
But
then
is
the
it
next
possible, you said a year, is it possible at that time it wasn't anything?
No, it was always something. It was just they couldn't see it. They can't
Oh,
see
they
it.
couldn't. Okay, so it wasn't like he didn't like do it on purpose, or he wasn't
They
trying.
just that's why you have to really it's not like he was doing it on purpose, it's like you just can't see it. So that's why you have to say, and you do have a right as a patient to say, I would like a biopsy of this, which I did
Oh,
not do, because obviously this was my first time, and like your questions are, I put all my faith into the doctor and thinking that
I would have
they
too.
know all the answers, and the reality is they're a human being with a coat on. They did go to school, but they could still make these judgment calls that even they can't sleep at night with, so
Yeah.
you have to say to your doctor, and you can say, I would like a biopsy. If you saw something but you don't think, you can do that. Now, I was lucky that I made my appointment the year after and a little sooner, because I had a great gynecologist who also did the ultrasound, right? They don't all do that. And the woman, by the way, while she was doing it, she was talking about the mafia murder in Staten Island, which was very interesting. I was like, oh, really? You think so? She's like, oh, I know his cousin. I was like, okay. But she was doing that for a while, and then I realized she's doing this longer than normal. Something's up. They sent me back to that place where I got the mammogram and the ultrasound, and sure enough, it had grown.
Oh,
And the doctor said, let's take a biopsy of this. And that's when they found it.
The story,
And
I
they
thought
said
you
it's
said the
probably
woman was up
nothing
to
again.
something.
And they said it's probably nothing on the second, but right before the biopsy, they says probably nothing. And then they're like, oh, wow, it
So
is
then when
something.
you went back and you found something, it was a year later? And then what did they say? It is, I mean, how did they just say
I just said it. I said, he goes, it's probably nothing. It's grown, but we should check. Let's do a biopsy.
Oh.
But it's probably nothing. And then they did the biopsy and they were like, we're really shocked. It is cancer.
Oh my. Oh, that must have been the worst day ever. Oh, jeez.
But that is what happens. That's why I say, that's why, when they say advocate for yourself, it's life and death advocate for yourself.
Yeah.
It really is.
But at least the good news, again, like you said, if you catch it early, there is a very high chance of getting rid of it with breast cancer, I guess, unlike some other cancers, I guess, right?
Stace Williams says the ACA doesn't cover the cost of ultrasound or 3D screening, but more than 50% of women need it because they have, yes, that's true, dense tissue, and a regular mammogram isn't sufficiently accurate. I believe, Stace, in different states, it may be in New York City, you can demand it.
Probably don't have anything like that in Texas since they hate women.
Yeah, it's sad, but you're right. I always hear these nurses saying things to women about their mammograms, and I'm like, get the ultrasound too.
Yeah.
I had an ultrasound on my testicles. It was awful.
Oh my God, we want to hear all about it.
You do? Well, I'll tell you about it. I mean, I see you're being curious.
Yeah,
there's a
I
big
do.
article on getting a mammogram, breast cancer, in this HR Puffin Stuff article. It turns out, I can't get enough. I'm sorry.
Now,
I hate myself.
Ted Chambers, they said too much information, Juskow. We don't want to hear about these nuts.
You don't?
Can you touch on the Chappelle controversy and your take on it? I'd love to hear your thoughts about the whole subject, from the material itself to the reaction online and in large. Now, I'm not going to talk too much about it. I'm going to tell you why. I will touch on it, though, is because it's a very sensitive subject right now, and it's very raw. And anything I say could be taken out of context and used against me, which is oftentimes done on these podcasts. But I can't help myself sometimes, and I still end up talking about it. But I will say this to you. I actually have it already queued up to go. Here we go. Hold on. Sorry. I guess I don't have it queued up
Probably
to go.
the one time you wanted me to talk, and I'm just
I know you're not talking.
I'm curious to see what your reaction is to that too. So,
well, okay, I didn't have it queued up. Sorry, I had a picture of Hannah Gatsby. I thought I was gonna do, but instead I have this rat bringing in a crab, and that's not what I want to show you. But I will say this: I know Hannah Gatsby. And if you didn't know what happened there, Hannah Gatsby basically made a comment about the person of the company, the head of the company, who doubled down about, not canceling Dave Chappelle's special. I'm trying to say everything.
Netflix?
Ted Sarandos.
Netflix.
But are you talking about Netflix?
Yes, for Dave Chappelle's special. So basically it's a controversy over Dave Chappelle special talking about trans, women, and, being very, his punchlines feel, very punching down, and the trans community, the Black trans community specifically, asked for it to be pulled. And there's like over, I think, 1,000 trans employees who will want to walk out because of the executive who doubled down on, why he aired it and why he won't take it down. And he used examples of other shows they have that also is for you. Like, he was like, look, we have Hannah Gatsby.
Can't walk out of your job. Like, that's just not the way it works.
Are you anti-union?
No, it's just like everybody just says we are going to walk unless you do this. It's like, I've worked at so many jobs, it's just the way you can choose to quit, I guess, but it's like I just there's an article in the Post today on the guys that wrote the movie Airplane, and they're like, I don't know, I guess we wouldn't be able to do anything today of it. He wrote the guy who directed it wrote a complete article today for the Post about the canceling of cancellations, and it's just too much. There's got to be a stop to it, and this isn't right. You can't.
The thing for me though is that it's like we're not seeing, like, for example, like Dave Chappelle is not canceled. Like, he is making lots of money on his specials and still able to perform. What the people that we're actually seeing getting like quote unquote canceled is like Netflix fired one of the trans employees who is scheduling the walkout, which
That's
is
what's
like
supposed to happen.
well, not in line with like we're actually in the midst of like a really interesting labor movement moment
That's
in the United
right.
States. We're having a lot of strikes. So it's very much in line with like what labor unions have been doing for a long time.
That's right, Evelyn. Get them.
And so it's like, so you're seeing that, and then you're also seeing like Netflix had like suspended a bunch of like trans employees who had like spoken out like against it. So like those are the people who are like actually getting affected
But
by
that's
it
what you're
the
not supposed to
most.
talk about your job like that out. And I mean, anybody
You're
would get.
it's
I mean,
you're
I'm
allowed
just
to
saying.
talk
I
about
guess I
your
worked
job.
at
It's
a
legal.
place for like 30 years. If I had gone online and said everybody at my job's an asshole, I would totally get fired.
Someone said you're a baby.
Legally, they're not
No,
allowed to
I don't. I
fire
think
you
aren't they talking
for
about
saying that.
they're not talking about me, are they?
I don't
This
know.
guy's baby.
I
I
think they're
don't know.
talking
I
about the
hope.
person who's upset with the Dave Chappelle thing.
Oh, I hope they're talking about you.
I didn't think that for a second.
Oh, damn it.
I mean, it's funny, but
Like, I'm not saying that like I don't I haven't seen the Dave Chappelle special. Like I don't have a fully formed view on it because I haven't watched it. But so I'm not saying that like it should be taken down or shouldn't be taken down. I'm just saying that like it's the trans people have mostly been the people affected in this, not really Dave Chappelle.
what's the joke? I don't even know. What did he say?
Well, that's the thing. That's the most important thing is you really have to watch it to
let me
talk
judge,
about it. You
know?
got to watch it to talk about it. I watched it. There's a lot of like, it's the full hour is really about them and really
Oh.
going in on how he feels he can't make fun of them, and then he makes fun, and then the ending is a story that he shares about a trans woman who he was friends with or was upset initially and then brought to the show, opened for him, and then passed away. I don't want to, if you watch the special, I don't want to take away from you seeing what it was, but some people say that he went too far, but the parents of this individual did not. They did not find it was bad in any form. So there's a lot of disagreement, which I feel, this is my opinion, everyone has a right to feel what they want to feel. They should be able to express it like he was able to express himself.
Let alone
right?
you have the right to choose to not watch it or not.
However,
and if you choose not to watch Netflix anymore because they choose to air it, then that's.
But it does have real world effects. Like you see, like there after the show, like Ted Sarandos, the one thing that does bother me is he says like, oh, well, there aren't real world effects to the shows that we have. Well, if you see shows like 13 Reasons Why or whatever, which is on Netflix, it's a show about teen suicide. There was a spike in teen suicide after like that show aired. So like there are going to be real world effects, and I think it's not I think Ted Sarandos is wrong in saying that, but I do agree also that like I think like I again haven't seen the special. I think people should be able to talk about uncomfortable subjects.
Exactly.
I just think the way that this has been handled mostly by Netflix has been not great.
Yeah, the
PR
PR behind it has been a bit insensitive.
Mhm.
And I would also say that you could look to, do you remember 90210 having an effect? The 90210 had an effect on Asian when it aired in Asian women were becoming anorexic. Did you
Oh,
ever hear that story?
No.
no, I didn't.
Yes, I used to watch 90210. It had an effect on me too. I had a bit of an eating disorder when I watched that show. I'm
I
not
used to
even gonna
party with
lie.
that kid Ian Ziering for a while.
But it does.
Used to hang out.
TV has an effect. Shows have an effect. So the argument and his PR has been horrible in the way he handled it. The way he doubled down.
Yeah.
Like, we can all argue like we hate cancel culture or we don't want to take art down, but also the person that was let go shouldn't have been let go. And if that is what happened, then that needs to be investigated, because people should be able and allowed to express that this is affecting their
You can express it. You should. You can't express it in a forum that makes your company that you work for look ridiculous. It's if you're working
however
for them.
it's what Evelyn said. You don't believe in unions? This is what unions do all the time. This is exactly what Evelyn said. On Monday, all of these actors, crew members, engineers, behind the scenes people, or because they're not being treated fairly,
Yeah.
are striking. So, and this is every job right now. You have police
Yeah.
unions now, like, I don't want to do this. You have hospital workers like, I don't want to do this. You have streetwalkers like, I don't want to do this.
Damn it, you know what? I come from a completely different generation. I can't believe there's because they get treated badly. I've gotten treated badly at every job I've ever had. That's the way it's supposed to be.
No, it could have been better
That's
for
what's
you,
really
Dave.
messed up, Evelyn. You don't understand. It's like everybody just wants to be treated fairly and nice, and that's delightful. But it's like it's a job like anything else, unless you got to work yourself better to be in charge of your job so you can treat people nicer than the way you were treated when you had a job.
I don't know. I mean, I definitely I definitely hear that. Like, I think it's unfortunate that
Yes.
like in the last like 20, 30 years ago, people weren't treated as nicely at their jobs. People still aren't treated nicely at their jobs, but I think we're seeing this resurgence in like labor movements and like unionizing, and I think like those can have a really positive effect. And I think just because like people in the past were treated badly by their places of business and by their jobs, so that doesn't mean that has to be now.
No, I agree with you. It's just a question of like, are you questioning because somebody looked at you funny? I mean, that's the thing. It's like, how are they getting treated badly exactly? I mean, I have a feeling they don't understand what being treated badly is. I think they're getting confused on,
you think a trans person doesn't know what it's like to be treated badly?
No, I'm not talking about. I'm just talking about as a person who's working as an employee. That's all I'm talking about it. But the other thing about the trans thing is too. It's
wait, before you move on though, stick to that point, because it's really important. If this was like, let's say this was a Jewish thing and they said something and someone did a special about the Holocaust not being real, let's say that, okay, for like an hour,
which happens a lot. There are things like that.
Okay, but if you were a Jewish employee, you would have every right to be like, this is offensive to me, and I do not like the boss doubling down on it. You have every right.
Yeah, absolutely. But you can't tweet something like that if you are an employee of that place. You need to go to your boss and say, I'm uncomfortable with this. And either they tell you what you want to hear or you quit. It's not right. And I'm sticking up for people I hate. I was just saying, it's just like, if you're an employee of a place and then you tweet something nasty about your place of employment, that I feel like that's not right. Do you remember when who's the Martin Lawrence was hosting Saturday Night Live, and he said something anti-Semitic, and Adam Sandler said he wasn't going to appear on the show. So he said something, but he did end up appearing on the show. But he did say something. I mean, it's the same kind of thing of what you're talking about, but he didn't end up appearing. And remember, I mean, besides the Jewish thing, remember when, I mean, this is sick. This is what pissed me off the most. Elon Musk hosted Saturday Night Live last year, and A.D. Bryant didn't want to do the show because he's rich. Whoa. I mean, that's just insane. That's how insane shit
He's
is
rich
getting.
because of slave labor in South Africa.
Yeah,
No.
I mean, you have a right to protest.
You have a
And
right
here's
to
the
protest,
thing.
but you can't just say I'm not showing up to work
Well,
one
that's what's
day.
happening, though. So whether you like it or not, it's actually what's happening.
You do have to make a choice of whether you're going to actually quit.
Well,
Oh,
these
I mean,
people
this is the problem people have every day.
have made it well known that they're going to walk out, and it's not even just this. I mean, we're talking about something completely. We're talking about labor laws, how people are feeling right now at work. We're talking about how people feel all across the board, not just like the people who work for Netflix. We're talking about people who work in hospitals. We're talking about people who work in comedy
Yeah.
clubs, wait staff. You know, it's across the board. Uber drivers, Lyft. Everyone's like, you know what? Fuck off. I don't have to put up with this. So, and people are being vocal about it because they feel like it has not been fair.
Yeah.
And that is really why I'm going to say this: why Squid Games has been very popular.
I gotta
I
watch it.
think
I don't know anything about it.
it's on Netflix is because it's about rich people really kind of monopolizing everyone else, and everyone else is fighting against each other, but it's really the 1% that's playing these games with all of us.
And I just want to say in conclusion for what I'm.
Someone called you a colonizer. Thank you, Mr. Mister.
What does that mean?
I think maybe he's talking about Elon Musk.
Oh,
Yeah, that's what I think
okay.
too. Why do you
All
think
right.
everything is about me? What's the matter with you? I didn't think that. I thought it was about Elon Musk as well. Anyway, I just the problem and where I'm coming from is that every job I've had, people have just yelled and screamed at me, and you have like no idea. And I guess it's just always like there was no other choice. I could either keep that job. So it is kind of great that people are rethinking the way they treat people. Evelyn, you're right. I guess I'm just like sissies, but it's better now. I mean, I'm telling you, people have made me cry at multiple. I've had every job you could possibly imagine, legal and illegal. Now, the illegal ones, there was nothing I could do, obviously. They were really, really mean sometimes. But the legal ones, really you felt there was nobody else to turn to. You could choose to quit or that's it. It's not like I could get any of my other employees. Come on. Let's do something. Everybody's just afraid to lose their job. And it seems like people aren't that afraid to lose their jobs anymore. I don't. It seems like that's what it comes down to.
So on a lighter note,
sorry.
hold on. I want to share this other
Thank
thing.
you, Mr. I knew it wasn't about me.
No, Mr. Stick to your guns. Oh my God, Fly Society. What up? I haven't seen you in a while.
Jobs do suck.
They do suck.
That's why I'm trying never to get one again. If I could pull this off, it'll be a miracle. I haven't had one in 2 years.
So I just wanted to show this real fast because I thought I'm back on the subway.
What?
And this is what New York is all about.
What the hell?
So if you get
is that the guy from Stranger Things? Is that what that's supposed to be?
Anyway, he's frustrated like I am every day. I'm just waiting for the trains, and I get
maybe
you,
he was
dude.
going to Comic-Con because that was recently.
Oh, was it the
Yeah,
one
I
at the
think
Javits
so.
Center?
I think so. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think that is in October.
That's so
Now
funny,
I'll
though.
say this: like Halloween in New York is like fun, but this could be any day of the year
Any
in New York
day.
City.
I'm gonna look up
Really.
Comic-Con.
I
That's
mean,
so
a lot of
true.
people don't know what it can be like to move to New York, and this is it. This is it.
is.
So I just wanted to take
what
a break
day was
from
that?
talking about Chappelle. I don't know. That was
Comic-Con ended on the 10th. This says August 12th. So
yeah. I'm just showing the image.
Oh, I was trying to figure out why.
This is just another day.
Just another day in the
proves
subway.
your point. It's just a regular day in New York.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. I see all kinds of stuff. Sometimes they get on the subway and I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
sure.
That's why
I just go, sure, whatever you need to express who you are. I'm happy. Good for you. Just don't come this way. I'll never forget that one time I heard this sound in the subway that sounded awful, and I'll never forget this woman. I just moved to New York. She had a very strong New York accent. She's like, whatever that is, just stay down there. I hope it just stays where it is.
That's so
And I
funny.
was like, it was so funny. But Yeah, so but the Chappelle thing, just to sort of go back to the Hannah Gadsby thing, I believe like even Wanda Sykes said it best, right? Here, I'll pull it up. Hannah was just saying, don't put your name in my mouth.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about, you know, what it is, right?
Yeah.
Do that, but don't put me in the middle of it.
Yeah, I think that's fair. So like, don't bring me into this.
What about I mean, is this crazy to say, like, we're just trying to get a person like myself is trying to get used to trans people. I mean, what about a kind of a grace period to kind of get more used to that kind of stuff? Or is that insensitive?
Used to what? Being talked about?
No, not being talked about, but being so sensitive after all these years of making jokes about, trans people or something like that. I mean, I'm just like, it just seems like it's all of a sudden like now, you know, we're comedians. We've been making jokes like that for years about that, and it was never any big deal. I don't know.
He's
Like
frozen,
just
right?
it all
Is he
takes time to
frozen?
get used to. Evelyn, I mean, you probably don't understand, but for you, we know guys that we know very well who couldn't even talk about being gay on stage.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. You can come in and talk about being gay. Mateo, when I see his act, I'm like, I hope he has respect for the people that came before him that wouldn't possibly be ever to do anything like this, right, Marina? Like, the people we know from back in the day and who could maybe mention they were gay, but they couldn't talk about actually being gay. They could say on stage, I am gay, but then they couldn't really do gay material, right?
Right. You're kind of frozen, which I love, but
Me?
I heard
Oh,
everything you said.
I
yeah.
think there's definitely room for a grace period. Like I don't know if that's like what people are necessarily like pushing against. Like I haven't seen the special, but from like the commentary that I've seen, like Dave Chappelle seems to be in like some of the jokes like just kind of questioning like or I don't know, just like questioning.
Ill-informed.
Yeah, I think that's more of
Well,
what it
he's
is.
like
Like the
about my age, and we are confused and ill-informed.
But it's not that he's like saying that he's ill-informed, which is like something totally different. Like he's making jokes that like are ill-informed, which can like then be dangerous. Like I think it would be different if his jokes were like, can't there be like a grace period? Because I think like
Like
I
my joke is about
yeah
attempting it, getting it wrong, and saying how it made me sound and why I was having a difficult time saying they. You
yeah,
could argue
That
obviously
joke was brilliant.
which is so
I,
funny.
my joke works. Trans people have told me they like the joke, which is why I also continue to do the joke, because it's really about me. It's not, I'm not punching down on anyone. I'm just saying this is what's been difficult in me trying to figure it out, and I'm making joke of myself, which is totally different, but it's
Plus the
about
trans, like,
acknowledging.
and I know a bunch of Italian guys from Staten Island who love that joke too. I mean, it works on every level.
It's
Your
just
joke,
acknowledging
it's brilliant.
it's what Evelyn just said. Like if you're saying that you're ill informed and this is what happens, that's different than going forward with. Now I'm not saying either or about Chappelle, because I don't
Yeah,
want to get into it, but I will say, like, I watched it. I could understand some parts that could be cringing for people. And here's the other thing, like, I also watched it and I said, well, this is his expression and he has a right to express it the way he wants. It may not be for a lot of people out there, and they have a right to talk about it. And that is the most important thing that can never stop. Conversation has to always happen. You can never shut down conversation on both ends. On both ends. You can't
yeah,
tell people they can't feel a certain way. You can't do something and then say, hey, don't feel this way. You do it. We do art to make people feel a certain way. We do art to make people talk about it. But Hannah Gatsby, what she did was she doubled down, which I really say what Wanda just said. It was the polite way of saying, well, not really, because she said fuck off to the guy. Is the polite way of saying, keep my name out of your mouth when doubling down on something I don't believe in.
Yeah.
So if it was me, Marina Franklin, and someone was doing something, let's say about Black women, obviously I would immediately be angry that someone used me in this argument.
Yeah.
So that's where I go in the conversation.
So you're saying Dave Chappelle mentioned Hannah Gatsby? That's why I didn't.
You're
No,
not
the CEO
listening.
of Netflix, he was like, when doubling down on like having the special on Netflix and like defending it, he was like,
So
we have this, we also have like gay content too, like look at Hannah Gatsby, like her special.
Oh,
is
he
on.
did say, he said, look at Hannah Gatsby. And
Ted
then she
Something
said,
Saran-
like that.
is it
Yeah,
Ted Sarandis?
okay, I
I
got
think
you. I got you.
so,
Okay.
yeah.
That makes sense. Well, that makes sense for
Right.
somebody to say, don't bring me into this. I get
Right.
that. Well, good for
So this is the
her,
letter.
him.
Hey, Ted
Who is
Sarandis.
Hannah
Just
Gatsby?
so Hannah Gatsby is a great comedian. She's also a good friend of mine. She did a special years ago that wasn't necessarily funny. It was about her having a conversation about why she stopped doing stand-up. Everyone debated whether it was funny or not, but that's not the point. I'm going to read this letter that she wrote to she said, hey, Ted Sarandis, just a quick note to let you know that I would prefer if you didn't drag my name into your mess. Now I have to deal with even more of the hate and anger that Dave Chappelle's fans like to unleash on me every time Dave gets $20 million to process his emotionally stunted partial worldview. You didn't pay me nearly enough to deal with the real world consequences of the hate speech, dog whistling you refuse to acknowledge, Ted. And she says, fuck you and your immoral algorithm cult. I do shits with more backbone than you. Oh, by the way, that's just a joke. Oh, I mean, I put, by the way, I definitely didn't cross a line because you just told the world there isn't one. So that's her response. And Wanda Sykes says, this, she reposted it, says it was a politeness in saying, keep my name out your motherfucking mouth. Now that's what you call punching up. I like it.
Wait, so Hannah Gatsby is gay or trans?
Gay and I think gender questioning.
Yeah.
probably.
What is what is your man or woman? What's going on here? What just tell me the truth. What is
I think she uses she, her pronouns, but is probably flexible.
Evelyn, please, can we just stop being polite for a second? What was she born as? Please, somebody tell me.
Born as a woman,
Okay,
but not quite sure how she identifies now.
I also love Phil R, who says your joke is the best of its kind.
true.
Thank you.
No,
And
you don't like that. Of course you like that.
You know what it is, though? I think
It's a brilliant joke.
I think comedians. Am I freezing at all?
No, you look good.
I think comedians have to, and I'm not speaking about Dave Chappelle, but I think in overall, comedians need to be better with what they're doing right now. You know, everything changes, everything moves. The world is going to change. You don't have, look, you have to consider your audience and the room that you're in. Read the room or read the world right now and what is going on, and just take the extra step to do what you need to do to make it a genuinely funny joke. If you don't want to make it a joke that is good for everyone, that's on you. That's your business. That's not how I do. I usually feel a little bad if someone is offended. I have done it in the past, and I've been like, I do get a little defensive, but then at the end of the day, I go, well, what can I do with this joke? What am I missing? Is it really them, or is it that I haven't fine-tuned this joke enough? So it's about the craft and the skill. And yeah. And I cross the line. You know, sometimes I cross the line and sometimes I don't.
I don't like when they don't post the actual joke, and I like to judge for myself. Remember when Michael Che got into trouble for some sort of what they said anti-Semitic comment or something, and then I heard the joke and I'm like, how did anybody construe that as anti-Semitic? You know, but they wouldn't post the joke. Like they didn't put it in the paper where I read about it or anything. So they keep saying this is bad, but then they don't tell you what exactly is bad, and everybody kind of hops on it. And you haven't, everybody needs to judge how they feel about I haven't seen the Dave Chappelle special. I don't know. Maybe I will find it insulting. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll be like, oh, I see what everybody's saying. My guess is, as a comedian, I'd be like, oh, that's funny. How can people see this? I don't know. But it's bad when people. I bet you half of the people that are shouting out about it haven't even seen the special.
Yeah, and it's important to see it in context too.
Exactly.
Like, not just like take like a singular like joke. Like, you have to see like all of it surrounding it.
Yeah,
to
and
get
somebody
the
else
point of view.
mentioned Blazing Saddles as well, which yeah, I mean that.
But I
Forget
again,
about
I
that.
don't like when people go, you couldn't see. To me, going, you couldn't have this now, you couldn't have that now. No, that's not the issue. The issue is, what are we gonna do today? Like,
I know that wasn't the issue. I was just pointing it out.
I'm just saying to the person who wrote that, well, you couldn't have Blazing Saddles. Well, you know what? There is something you can do, like Turner Classic Movie
Yes,
Channel.
but here's the problem with Turner
I'm
Classic
not
Movie.
finished with my sentence. Turner Classic Movie Channel always does this with movies that have even blackface in it, or things that like are really, could be that really is offensive when you watch it and you go, "Ooh, how they portrayed black people back then." What they do on the Turner Classic Movie Channel is they have a discussion that revolves around the movie, and they talk about, this was that time, this is this time, and this is what was, and this is what the movie is about, and it reflected that time. But obviously these things are offensive today.
Yeah, and with something like Blazing
Educate.
Saddles or even Trading Places, when it's like when they air it on things that aren't regular cable, they'll take out certain things that are like the most important things, and they're not realizing what is happening. Like Trading Places, they take out the end part where the two guys say, I would never let an N-word run our company. And it is the most important part in the movie. You can't just take it out because they use the N-word. The N-word is used to show that they are horrible human beings and that they need to be destroyed, because you don't know that up until that time. They seem like, oh, but they gave Eddie Murphy this job and they were so nice to him. If you don't use the N-word, then it's like, why would they, it's like you're ruining why they need to be destroyed. I feel like the questioning of when they're on USA or American movie classics, where they cut out, especially most of Blazing Saddles, you're missing the point of why it's such an important movie.
Someone is like, Juskow, stop being cheap and just buy the damn special and watch it.
Right. Sorry,
Oh, Raymond, right. Not just someone. Raymond. Sorry, Raymond. So yeah, it's just about explaining, like we're talking about like education in school and critical race theory.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, it's going to be a long time before we get to a place in school where we teach children about history the right way. So this would be one way, is to explain, and put disclaimers around movies like that. Don't get rid of them, but really just
can you imagine showing Blazing Saddles in a school and explaining, like, look, this was groundbreaking, written by a very, progressive, legendary black comedian, and just very important in many ways, let alone let's take out the racial stuff, just the way they even threw around curse words, where everybody was, this is the way we talk in the world. And no movie had ever done that before, where they're just saying shit and fuck and stuff like that. There was never a movie like that before.
The problem also is this is the first time, and I would argue that there are more people in comedy that aren't male, that aren't just cis, right? That aren't white, and they are in comedy too. And we've been sitting back for a long time being the punchline. And so, I would argue that it's just changing things. It's moving things. People are it's what Gina Yashere said in her post. I would argue that if you can't do the joke around a certain group, you probably maybe shouldn't do the joke. I mean, that's just me. I used to sit in the back of the room when I was coming up as a comic. I would hear so many racist jokes.
You sat in the back because you were black? They put you back there? Or
you know what? Low blow. Low. Easy. But I would sit there and
you'll love Retro Fan magazine.
They should get you to sponsor them.
Well,
It's
let's
funny.
see what Aunt Pruitt said. I saw the Chappelle special. I only laughed at it a little. Wasn't as funny to me as his other stuff. Okay, I did laugh when he and his premises about his dislike of white folks, not the LGBTQ. See, so there it is. There, that's the thing, is just let people like review it and have their opinions. And honestly, like, was it funny to people? Is the question I really have for everyone. Was
Yeah.
it actually funny? Because when Hannah Gatsby decided to talk about how she didn't want to be funny, it was a big thing. Everyone was all upset. But when Dave Chappelle has moments where he's talking, and I would say purposely not being funny, all of a sudden it's like prolific.
And with Dave Chappelle putting out all these like hour specials one after the other, do you think maybe it's best if he takes 2 years off and really puts together a special? Do you think maybe this is just like, well, they'll just like what I talk, everything I say now is great. So is that an issue, you think, at all? Or do we just love hearing him talk for an hour? It's not really a comedy special if you just keep producing hour specials every month. It's not a crafted, like yours, like, single black female. It's like, it's not a year of crafting your comedy. It's just like, these are my thoughts, and people, this is my moment. What do you think of some, like that? Should he maybe that's the issue. It's not completed.
I don't know.
He has a deal with Netflix and he's got to get it out, like somebody putting out a musical group putting out an album because the record company says it's time.
Yeah.
Many people upset. See, again, I think we're missing the point of what Evelyn and I are really talking about. Many people upset by the stand-up it isn't for. It's like having a vegan review a steakhouse. But yeah, I don't think we're arguing that point. That
Well, look
happens.
what Mr. said. That's the response I was looking for.
We just love. I don't know. I think I would argue that some people don't love hearing him talk for an hour.
Right, but he just said we just love hearing Dave Chappelle talk for an hour, and that's probably in his head too. So he's not maybe crafting his usual mastery because he knows people just like to hear him talk for an hour.
Yeah.
Because, it's going to be funny for 60%.
I think also like part of the reason why there's such like backlash against this is because like, like Chappelle's Show and stuff like that, like those kinds of like jokes and things that he wrote were really making a point about like race in America and like that sort of thing. And that was like really groundbreaking and like very, very funny. And I think to see like the kind of jokes, like it's not like the point of it is really just to kind of make fun of trans people. Like, come on, like it's kind of like, and I mean, very rich coming from me, from someone who's very young in comedy, but it's like, I would love to see something like making a bigger point than that.
Yeah, and this is what Raymond said. Dave Chappelle is funny, but I do believe he intentionally picked the topic not because he is anti this or anti that, but because he knew the subject he talks about will keep people talking about him. I would argue it's more of the network, Netflix, or streaming, because it is what Hannah Gatsby said, is part of the algorithms. This is what we just learned at Facebook, what they operate on is anything that, look what we just talked about for a full hour.
Yeah.
It worked. It worked in that sense. But at the end of the day, there are people whose feelings are hurt. You could choose to be empathetic towards that or not. I'm not saying either way how I feel right now. I'm not comment. I'm just saying I'm putting it out there that at the end of the day of algorithms, what have we got going and where are we in America? And we look at how divided we are. Do algorithms really do good things?
Yeah.
I don't know. Now, this is art and we're talking about art, but I would argue the bigger point that we made today is that overall people are not happy with where they work and how they're being treated by their employers. So, something needs to change. We're going to hear about this for a while now. Every place you're going to see it. Every place that you wouldn't expect, you're going to see people going, I don't want to do this.
What Scooby Doofus said, I remember that with Isaac Hayes in South Park. I remember being really angry about that too. But I guess
I'm okay. So, Evelyn, do you have? This would be a perfect time to break
Yeah.
away for some reviews.
Yes, I do have some. Sorry, it's loading on my phone. Yeah, okay. So this was a comment on the Friends Like Us Instagram from the most recent episode about the Get It Done initiative. King Mikey87 said, dope episode. Really enjoyed it. Very informative, with some fire emojis. And then we also got a comment on the Instagram from Corey Leonard, talking about one of the guests, Kanisha Broadwater, and said, this girl is fire emoji, is Queen, Heart of Gold. I'm honored to say I worked with her and took care of her. So glad to see that one of our new guests resonated with people. And then I grabbed an older review off of Apple Podcasts that says, simply marvelous, 5 stars. One of the best podcasts. You can learn and have real insight onto the issues that matter. So those are the reviews that we got for this week.
Nice.
Yeah.
We do good work over there at Friends Like Us. Look at this. Can we get another Jim Gaffigan impression? I you know what? I think it's like fading. I tried to do it last night at the
not.
table. Someone asked me to do it, and then like Esty was at the table at the cellar, and there was like silence.
Oh no.
And I was like, maybe I shouldn't do it again. I don't know what happened. I thought it was good. I don't know. But Marina, if you could just, leave out the jerk material. I don't know. The family, it just takes the family out of it.
That sounds like it.
Don't do the jerk joke.
You are not losing it. It's brilliant.
It's good.
I don't want to tell anyone what to do. But you're fired. So there it is. There you go. Oh my God. I saw Sarah last night. I used to do her, but I don't think I can do it anymore because it's just a kid voice. Marina. Oh my God. Are you ready to take over the world? Well, you guys, this has been fun. Hopefully, I don't know if you guys noticed one more news story. Bill Clinton is in the hospital. I don't know if you guys knew this, with a urinary tract infection. Hopefully, and they say he's doing fine. He's even watching the news about his news.
Wow.
Is he watching that impeachment show?
Oh, I wonder.
What? Say that again?
If he was watching that impeachment show, I've been watching that on FX. Maybe that got him sick. I don't know.
Yeah. I wonder. Yeah, I saw that he got hospitalized, and I remember it specifically because in the news report, it was like, it's not COVID.
Yeah.
Oh, this is what I wanted to bring up, by the way, before we go. 5 more minutes, guys, and then we'll say goodnight. I wanted to say this, like, they do all these studies about Black people not getting the vaccine, and yet just came out today. Do you know, overall, the police force, they've died more from COVID than actual gunshots.
Wow. I didn't know that.
I didn't know that. It does not surprise me.
That's fascinating.
And the population of police who don't want to get vaccinated is about the same as the general population. So it's like every time they do a study and they always put on the news why Black people don't want to get vaccinated, I'm like, it's not just Black people don't want to get vaccinated. You got a whole police force that doesn't want to get vaccinated.
Yeah.
I assume you heard about Kyrie Irving?
Yes.
I've seen a little bit about that, yeah.
But they also make an example of him, like, look at this Negro who don't want to get vaccinated. It's like, stop it. I'm so tired of the news making it a Black race thing.
No,
Stop doing that.
I would argue that there's probably like a higher percentage of white people that don't want to get vaccinated.
Yes. So it's like, stop it. Why don't you do studies about why white people don't want to get vaccinated?
Excellent point. Certainly know a lot of those, which pisses me off.
Why don't you do that study? Why are you always following me around, Karen?
Speaking of which, I just saw I watched College Game Day on ESPN, and Jeff Foxworthy was the guest today. He's still around. He's like, if you live in Georgia, you might be a Kentucky redneck. And he was making fun of Georgia and Kentucky. Like, he's still not canceled. How is that possible?
Yeah, I did.
Raymond is so happy to hear from you, Evelyn, this week. I know when Yamanika comes on, she's great, but there's little room for other people to talk. So it is nice to have her talking. Yes.
Yeah.
But we love Yamanika. So every now
We
and then we
do.
sit back and we enjoy the show.
Yeah. Oh, my lighting
my
is so
pussy
cool.
dry.
She did not say
She did
that.
not say that.
Oh, well, what am I thinking of?
Phil R., thank you for bringing back my old joke. When I traveled from the UK to New York in the year 2000, I went to Harlem one evening, but not as a group.
It's terrifying.
I used to say, go to Harlem as a group. I used to say that. I forgot. That's an old joke of mine. It's not terrifying. You were there this morning, Juskow. You went to the farmer's market.
I'm so sorry I didn't walk you all the way to your house. I feel bad about it.
I didn't feel bad about it.
My friend came over to play video games, so he was really upset. He only had a half hour, and then he had to go back.
So that's what it was.
Yeah, I had a friend coming over. I told you. I had to meet him.
But you know what? You know,
he never comes to the city, and his wife and kid were getting their hair done around the corner, so he wanted to play video games.
I do want to say, Juskow, next time you go to the farmer's market, actually buy the vegetables that are there.
I can't take them home. I ride that motor scooter. I have to
There's
put it
no
in the back with
excuse.
all people's gross hair helmets.
You get a book bag.
Where do I carry? Oh, a book bag. Right. I could do that. I put it on my back. All right. I'll do that. Next time I'll do that. And then I'll walk you home the proper way. And I'm sorry. I won't have anything else to do.
But the real truth of the matter is, Juskow's just not used to being around healthy produce.
That was a problem.
He didn't know what half the vegetables. He was like, "What's that?"
I've never seen vegetables like that in my life. I don't know what that was. They were like big and green and weird. There was a Family Guy yesterday I was watching where Peter was pissing on a guy's grave named David Vegetables. It's like, screw you. Because Brian was pissing on the guy's grave who invented the vacuum. He's like, how do you like this? Because he's a dog. Sorry.
Sure.
But
will Monica visit?
I met Monica Lewinsky. Remember, we both met her, right? Marina, remember at Sarah's party? Wasn't that surreal?
She was at the party?
Yeah, we both met her. I think we were together.
No.
Yeah, because that's when I told her she was supposed to move into my building, and everybody thought we were going to go out. I mean, it was kind of the perfect girl for me.
I was there?
Yeah.
I was that high that I didn't realize I was standing next to Monica Lewinsky?
High. Yes.
Evelyn,
it was just after Conan dissed us.
He did not diss us.
Yeah, all right.
He was pulling a sock out of his pocket that was really long. I was like, this is so perfect. He was like,
it was just before we had the conversation with Albert Brooks telling him not to give up on comedy.
Can you believe that?
That's wild.
Ledge.
It was great. Her party is like amazing. Like every who's who. And Juskow had warned me not to get high, and I didn't listen. And I got high, and I was like, get me out of here. Get me out of here.
I had already learned my lesson for like 3 years in a row. Not being able to talk to many of my comedy heroes because I was way too high. And I warned her in advance, but it's very difficult not to do. They have like a pot bar where you go to the bar and they roll you whatever you want. So it's really, you have to have a lot of, what was that called? To not do it.
Mm-hmm. It's silly to not do. I mean, it's right there. It's a bar.
I didn't even drink, Marina, until I had met. We met Rob Reiner, Larry David, Albert Brooks. Once I hit 3 people that I never thought I'd meet in my life, I had a drink.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, all right, this night's already the best. I got to speak to them. I got to say to Rob Reiner, do you notice that this backyard is very much, he goes, yeah, it's very much like the end of Spinal Tap. I'm like, that's exactly what I was. I mean, right there, I was like, now I can drink because I'm done. Damn, that was awesome, right?
Yeah.
I don't think it'll ever be like that again because not only did she move, but COVID is ruining everything.
Mm-hmm.
These flowers, by the way, while I'm doing this, don't they?
See, I feel bad too. I didn't help you carry anything. I hate myself. I'm sorry, Marina.
I know how I do it every week by myself.
But it's not, it's rude for a man not to help. I just don't like carrying stuff. I planned my whole day of not carrying anything. I was mad that I was holding a cup of coffee the whole time.
I was fine.
I know you were. I know, but it's like you were carrying so much stuff. It's rude not to help.
It would have been rude for you to think I couldn't handle it. How about that?
Yeah.
Well, I haven't been brought up that way. I'm sorry.
Well, we gotta go. This was fun.
This was fun.
I feel like I
was
had
fun.
a full day with Juskow. I'm
Yeah.
exhausted.
But we're still good, right?
Oh yeah.
I still love you.
Look, Aunt Pruitt said, look, she said she was fine.
I know.
Don't you beat
You,
yourself
Aunt, you
up.
know how it is.
Anyway, guys, folks, this has been fun.
Yeah.
We always enjoy being with you here on YouTube Live, on Facebook Live, on Twitch Live. We love having you listen to the Friends Like Us podcast. If you haven't yet subscribed to it, please subscribe. Make sure you hit the auto download so that it downloads so you don't miss a new episode. This week coming out, I have Felicia Mary, who is the showrunner behind BET Plus's show called Bigger. Her dad and my dad knew each other. We went to University of Illinois together, and she
Wow.
is now she's one of the few Black female showrunners on a TV show that's streaming on BET Plus. It's called Bigger. Also, I have Jean on the show. I'm forgetting her last name. I want to say
Dancing Machine. Jean. The Dancing Machine. I don't know why.
No, but she is. It's because my memory right now. I'm just like blanking for a second.
Jean Autry.
Jean Sparrow. Jean Sparrow is a 7-time Emmy nominated radio announcer. She's been on V103, Chicago Radio, Doug Banks, all of it. Herb Kent. Those of you who are in Chicago who are watching this right now, you know who I'm talking about. Jean Sparrow. She is on this upcoming episode on the Friends Like Us, and Supergirl, who's a very funny comedian. So you don't want to miss this episode that's coming out this week, and you don't want to miss the current one that's talking about breast cancer awareness. It's really important.
Definitely want to miss that
Early
one.
early detection is your best protection. Don't forget that. I want to thank you so much. Jessica, where can our listeners, what are you doing? What's going on with you besides playing video games and getting on your scooter? What's going on with you?
I have a show every Tuesday night at 6 p.m. Eastern. It's 2 hours long. It's awesome. So I can talk as much as I ever have wanted to in my life. And it's the Comedy Cellar football show. So it is sports and comedy. Although this week we have Colin Smith and, Nick, who plays with him. And they're going to play some music this week at the 6 o'clock hour. And then 7 o'clock, we make our football picks. It also goes out in this app called The Contender, which goes to Chicago and Washington. Because you were talking about Chicago. And last week, I forgot to tell you this, we had Greg Fitzsimmons on, and he told us this unbelievable story where he plays golf at a public course with another comedian named Jackie Flynn, and they were waiting for who they had to get matched up with. That's the way it works. He got matched up with O.J. Simpson. No joke. So the Jackie Flynn, unfortunately, said, I'm not playing with a murderer. And then they matched him up with somebody else. And Greg was so disappointed because he's like, this is going to be my panel story for the Tonight Show for the rest of my life. And then he was going to wait till they got to the 12th hole and be like, hey, if I make this punt, you tell me, if you really killed him or not.
Oh, my God.
It was really funny, really funny. So anyway, that's what we do on the show and have conversations like this. And it's super fun. And thank you for always having me on Saturday because, like Raymond said, it makes my Saturdays not suck quite so badly as well.
Yes. Evelyn?
Yeah, Fitzdog.
I trying to think. I don't think I have anything upcoming at the moment.
How'd the Broadway show go?
Oh, it went really well. It was really fun.
Oh, yes, we were going to revisit that. Sorry, before you go, tell us about the Broadway show.
It was great. It was a great crowd. Yeah, and I think all my jokes landed how I wanted them to. So, yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was also technically a competition, so possibly moving on to the next round, we shall see. I hear in I think in a week or so.
Awesome.
But yeah, so it was good. But then so at the moment, I'm still figuring out what other shows I will be doing. So yeah, I will post about that on my social media, so you can follow me on Twitter at Evelyn G Frick to learn more.
Yes. And Marina Franklin, you know what to do. Go to my website, marinayfranklin.com. Get our merch. Huh? Friends like us. Check it out. We also have coffee cups. Okay. I love you all. Be safe.
Bye, girls.
Wear your masks inside if you want to. Get vaccinated. Get all of them.
Get vaccinated.
Oh,
How
Lord.
I? Sorry.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. And yes, Black Lives Matter. Bye.
Uh-huh.
Well, that'll hold little bastards.